So these are the Freedom Ranger birds, and this is my first time experimenting with raising them on an electric fence system. I kind of put out some dry feed out in the pasture just to encourage them to walk out the pasture every day. But something that's unique about these guys is they're also raised on deep bedding. So the door is always open from the deep bedding from the wood chips, and they have constant access to pastures through the electric fences that I rotationally kind of move back and forth. But some of the benefit of this is they can get a lot of the nutrition from the deep bedding that draws like a lot of bug life. And as the soil starts composting, that creates a lot of nutrition for chickens to peck through. They love to scratch through it. Then they can also come out the pasture throughout the day, and then they'll get feed that I usually ferment, and I also do some dry feed out in the field just to encourage them to come out the pasture. So I'm using an electric fence system with these birds. They have a big foraging drive, so I want to give them a lot of space. But one of the main concerns with using an electric fence system isn't land predators. It does a really good job at preventing that, but it's actually aerial predators. So I set up a lot of owl decoys because hawks don't like owls. So I'll move those around often, but I also put a lot of old chicken tractors out through the pasture, so they always have things to run under real fast if they sense a hawk around. These type of birds have really good instincts when there's an aerial predator around. I'm real excited to get some footage of how crazy they go for a wood chip pile. I think out of everything I give them, they're obsessed with wood chip piles. They love, like, they'll try to scratch it and spread it all day, and they're just obsessed with it. They'll spend all day trying to spread wood chips. And you can see they really love fermented feed. They'll pick it almost out of everything I give them. I've given them dry feed and fermented feed side by side, and they always pick fermented feed by far. So when I started experimenting with this, I'm like, I'm gonna listen to the birds. So I charge all my solar fences with Premier 1 solar panels. It's a neat way to kind of be off-grid and still have a little bit of, so you can still have, sorry, let's start over. I charge all my fences with Premier 1 solar panels. It's a neat off-grid way where I don't need electricity to charge all my fences. It runs just right off this solar panel, and then it runs into a battery storage. And I've never had one of the batteries run out on one of these guys. It's just a very reliable, consistent way to have nice hot fences and not have to worry about it. Get me huffing and puffing. All right. So I do a lot of really creative ways with my egg layers to feed them. I have a couple neighbors, and I save food scraps. So about once every 2 or 3 days, I give them some food scraps. That anything that you could comprehend how to grow is probably pretty good for them. There's a couple no-nos, but to be honest, chickens, as long as they're well fed, they're pretty smart. They won't get into it if they're not supposed to have it. And then I have some neighborhood brewers who always bring their spent grains. The chickens love it. It's a nice dessert for them.